It's Crystal from Adventuring with Crystal, back for another hidden gem. This week, a podcast on being by Krista Tippett. On Being is a new to me podcast. It is not new by any means, and Krista Tippett has been doing this work for over 20 years. I'm just now discovering her, and I'm so glad that I did. As I've been digging through her podcast and listening to the different ones that she has available, I've just kind of hit and miss, picked up some that have struck my fancy. I have learned so much, and I love how she is so masterful at bringing the conversation back to the human condition. What makes us human? What connects us? What makes us tick? And how do these different big ideas in the world have to do with that? And it makes me think so much about my goals for travel and my goals as I'm helping my clients find the perfect adventures for them. What is it that's going to help them understand themselves more, connect to themselves more, connect to their families more, connect to the cultures that they're visiting more, even if it is a culture within a culture? You could be traveling domestically and learning so much about your own culture, your own country, or traveling internationally and learning so much. One of the episodes that caught my attention was with Rick Rubin. I know Rick Rubin from his work with the Avett Brothers. I watched him as he worked with them and on an album that they had, and it was caught in a documentary called May It Last. He is a true master of creativity, and he talks about how we have so many different intelligences. Coming from a background in education and working with my own kids, especially my senior daughter right now as she's getting ready to go to college, we really think about intelligence as this one fixed thing. Do you know something or not know something? And it usually has to relate to history or math or something that you can learn from books or something that you can really learn from other people that is pretty concrete. But truly, the human condition is about a lot of other intelligences other than just that. The way that we listen and the way that we interact with people, our ability to connect, those are all types of intelligences. You can have cultural intelligences and artistic intelligences. I think it's so important for us to think about that as we think about why do we want to travel and where do we want to go? What do we want to cultivate there? Do we want to cultivate an intelligence of adventure? Or do we want to cultivate an intelligence of relaxation? Or is it something else? Do we want to learn more about food? Or do we want to learn more about music? These are all things that we can really think of when we start to pull together a travel itinerary, because it's going to be important to think about that when we start to plan our experiences. Often we'll go on a vacation not thinking about anything other than who did this before me? Do I want to see the same thing that all of these other people have seen? And while that is wonderful, yes, I do want to see the Eiffel Tower for myself and climb to the top. There are also times when I think, meh, there's probably something else in Paris that I really want to see more than just this one piece of art or this other Instagrammable site. So thinking about those intelligences. And when I think of Robin Kimmerer's episode also, and she talks about the intelligences of plants and mosses in particular. And it is such a beautiful episode because she has such a calm and loving way of discussing how plants are not sentient beings in the way that we would think of sentient, but they are. They learn, they work together. They have an innate being that is much more primal than we have. And it's a type of intelligence. It's an intelligence of being slow and deliberate and learning over multiple generations, not just what we can find right now, but what we can bring in from the past into the future. I think that's really important when we start to travel also, is how do we bring in those things from the past into now so that we can learn about them in new and interesting ways and have them help us connect to one another, to other cultures again, to ourselves in a way that we wouldn't have otherwise. Krista Tippett just brings all of these people together in such a way that is loving and kind, and she just really makes you feel comfortable as you're learning something and stretching and thinking about things that you wouldn't have thought of before. And I feel like every episode is a little adventure that takes you someplace new that you wouldn't have gone to before. If you haven't listened, I highly recommend taking a listen to a couple of them. There are so many interesting people, so many interesting ideas, new ways of thinking about things that I am sure you will find something to enjoy and find some new way to connect with yourself as a human and with others.